Hi everyone. Did you watch episode 5 of the House of the Dragon? I was going to say the House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon.
I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, it does because it's called House of the Dragon, isn't it? And it was called We Like the Way.
We had to double check that before.
I know, we always have to look right before we do this. Like, okay, what's it called again?
Yeah.
Didn't disappoint.
No, I feel like these are getting better and better.
Sometimes it's been a while since I watched Game of Thrones, but sometimes I'm like, do I like this better almost sometimes?
I don't,
it's not that I like it better, but like, I think it's just so good flowing.
This is my theory or my opinion. I think because I love Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is just, but I think because it's just more focused on one thing, we can kind of just be like,
jump all the different point of views and stuff. Yeah.
And I've always said I like the Targaryens, so I'm not disappointed at all. But I just feel like it's written really well. The show.
It's like really, like, I have yet to have a boring moment. Like, everything is just like perfectly, it's just flowing and everything's just great.
Well, even when there's no action, like this one this one had a little bit of action, but it's just, even last week's episode, it was just like you're on the edge of your seat, like what's gonna happen?
And I've noticed if Daemon is in this show, like, I'm happy.
Yeah. He's so bad, but you just love him, because he's Daemon.
He doesn't care.
He does not care.
Zero, you know what?
I think Matt Smith plays him really well.
He does. I think he's doing a really good job.
He's, killing this character.
And, I wasn't really thrilled at first, and I have to say he's really
I told you he'd grow on you.
Yeah.
Well, and the character itself is just, that type of character. You're just like, oh.
Well, speaking of Daemon,
mm-hmm.
we meet at the very beginning, we meet his ugly wife, who actually is really cute.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she's cute. And she's tough.
Oh, she's pretty. I was like, I was expecting something totally different. And I was like,
she's obviously a skilled
warrior.
Hunter. And, and she was really, I was like, oh.
I almost wonder, and I think when we saw inside the episode, it was almost like, the writers are saying that they go off of their take of how, like, they, visualize and what their perception is, right?
Yes.
And I think that they said that they almost wonder if it's more, instead of her being, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I heard this wrong, ugly, it was more that she challenged him.
Well,
and
yeah.
she was more of a, she didn't like him.
Yeah.
So she gave him the hard time and kind of, in a way, was making fun of him.
Yeah. Like, she gave it right back.
That was the issue.
She gave it right back to him. And
there's no love lost between these two. Like, both of them hate the other.
And she can read him like a book. And I think he was just kind of like, and we've heard in the last episode with the showrunners were saying he likes control. And obviously it shows that his wife, he can't control her. And obviously it was an arranged marriage, so he has no desire.
They haven't even consummated the marriage. We found that out too, because she's like, "Are you here to finally consummate the marriage?"
How it's been so long.
But she doesn't want that either. You can just tell that they both do not like the other.
So yeah, and then we find out inside the episode that actually, and I do remember this, it's not really in the book, because in the book she has an accident and he's not actually around when she has this accident. So they kind of made up this story, the showrunners, or not the story, but they kind of made this scene up. They're like, we're going to include it in the show. So my
question is, if he wasn't in the book in it, but did they ever allude in the book to him possibly killing her? And that's why in the show they had to add him there to give that.
So what you got to remember with the book, I should have explained this a little bit more. In the book, you have two different perspectives of so I think it's Mushroom.
You haven't met him.
So I think in this latest episode, he was the one playing the drums.
Oh, I didn't notice.
So he was, so he's like Tyrion.
Okay, so it's his point of view.
And then there's another point of view of you know, so we kind of really in the book, like I said, some of it could be
this
true.
way or that way.
So the show's kind of like
taking their own.
No, the show's not taking its own. The show is just
saying,
kind of confirming what really happened.
But how do we know what happened if it's two different?
The show is showing what really happened.
But I thought that they said they left it up to interpretation on some of it, like inside.
Well, yeah,
like,
some of it they do because,
fully know, or
like I said, if you read the book, it's not a novel.
But they are working with George R. R.
Yes.
Martin. Okay, so you're right. So what really happened?
It's not a novel where you're reading from a first-person perspective. You know, like this isn't actually just history. So you're like, well, it was said that Daemon could have been this, or this in this. You know, like he could have had a hand in it. In the show, it's kind of like they're confirming it. Now they're adding some things, obviously, but yeah, I was like, okay. So we find out that he actually did have a hand in his
wife's murder. So
yeah,
what they said though too is up for interpretation. Is we don't actually see him kill her.
I don't think he was going to.
He didn't. He went there. I don't know why he was there. She had the fall, but he went up, he puts his foot on her, but then he was walking away.
She's paralyzed.
And then she took some, like, was going to leave her, you know, just like he didn't. And she basically said, like, you can't finish as always or something like that. It made him mad. He does pick up a stone, and all you see is him, like, I think take a step towards her or whatever. It goes to the next scene. So didn't they say it's up to our interpretation? But later on, it did sound like it did. Yeah. He did do it. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
I think it leaves it open that he did it.
We figured it out.
We
right
all
away
know why
he killed her.
He's trying
wants to be with Rhaenyra
because we
which
find out.
I want him with Rhaenyra.
Sorry, guys,
no, I never thought in all my days.
But remember, not in real life. That I
would be for this, but
it's not real.
I'm 100%. I like Sir Kristen; he's so cute, but I don't want him for Rhaenyra. I want Daemon for Rhaenyra.
It's just so odd to say. I know.
I do.
Trust us, guys. We think the same thing.
On this.
I feel like, what is wrong with me? I know. We find out in the last episode that he basically wants Rhaenyra. He did everything because if he were to sully her, you know, sullied her, as they said, she can't be married off to some big lord, you know, that her father wants her to be, that he will get her. And that was his plan. Well, his, you know, her father was like, no, you're married already.
Okay,
so he's
but
like,
I think we were still, you wouldn't tell me, you obviously knew, and I said to you, like, when you sent me a picture this week, and I said, I knew it, and she goes, no, this is not a spoiler, but I knew she sent me something that proved.
No, that was not a spoiler.
I know, but I don't believe her. I think she knew that I would guess it, and that he really does want her, because in the last episode, I figured he wanted her, but there was still that open-ended of, was he just trying to show her what she's missing? And then they said, oh, like she could be losing control. But then we saw at the very end of the last episode where he says, let me marry her. I'll, you know, take you. So we kind of knew.
But you don't know if he wants
personal
her
gain,
for personal gain.
Yes.
You don't know any of that yet. Or is it because he really loves her?
But I felt in this episode, the confirmation was there for me.
Then we get to Driftmark. So we finally get to Corlys Velaryon's kingdom, Driftmark. We have not been there yet. I don't think we ever went there in Game of Thrones.
We've only seen them at King's Landing. We have not
Yes.
seen them.
Well, even in Game of Thrones, we never went to Driftmark. We go to Driftmark, and her father is telling her, you know, we found out in the last episode that you're going to marry Leanor, which is Corlys's heir, his son. And she does it. She's like, okay, I'm going to do my duty.
Which she knew in the last episode. Like,
yes.
Okay, I'll do this, but you take care of Otto, which he did.
So, and then before we get to Driftmark, though, we get to Sir Kristen begging and asking Rhaenyra to run away with him because he is in love with her.
He's already broke the King's Guard.
And
the oath he took.
Yeah.
Saying that he would, you know, stay pure, or what do you call it? Stay celibate and not, you know, be with him. And he already broke it. He obviously loves her or wants to be with her.
Well, and he feels a lot of guilt because he broke his oath.
And he does say that. He said,
yes.
I was hoping this would help to start to fix it if he could go away and marry me.
So we get to that, and she, she's smiling for a while. She likes him. She's attracted.
It's not where her heart is.
She's attracted to him, but
she just needed to release that night, I think.
Well, yeah, Daemon kind of left
But
her
yeah,
all
like he's
bothered.
very good looking, and they have a very good relationship. Like, remember when they went and they killed the wild boar, and that like stag came. You can tell that they have a very close relationship.
And she basically says, like, she doesn't say this, but it's basically what she alludes to. Like, it's a nice dream, but like this is what I'm meant to be.
To do.
I would still love for you to be, my side piece. She basically says to him, and that hurts him.
He's like, you mean you want me to be a whore? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't blame him for, that. But, yeah, he's basically left heartbroken because she says no. And then, she's like, I'm going to marry Leanor. So she gets to Driftmark, and we find out that Leanor is gay.
Yes. I think we started figuring it out right before we knew for sure.
Yes, when his parents.
Their talk and this, but they confirmed it. But like right before, they were even saying she was walking on the
Rhaenyra
beach, Rhaenyra and Leanor, and like they were comparing it to goose. What was it? My taste might be
duck. I like duck.
And,
some like goose. But
so we were kind of like,
she
if he's gay, and then that came
right. And they kind of come to the understanding that, what, we're going to do our duty. We're going to have an heir. But after that, we can just do our own thing.
Like, we'll do our duty, but we'll
stay married. But
I will have mine.
Right.
We'll rule together. But.
Yes. And, we meet his lover in this, Joffrey, which I thought, oh, God, Joffrey. I just remember Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Cersei's son.
Like, I thought you meant you liked him.
No.
I was like, oh, you did?
The name just
I didn't remember that was Cersei's son.
Yeah, remember the one.
Oh, the mean one. The
mean
king.
one.
The king.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The other two were not mean. And
I guess he was named after Joffrey.
Yeah, no, but he seems.
Oh no, that was someone
else. So, so they come to that conclusion in the whole thing, and I really like that. Him and Rhaenyra seem to really have a bond.
Yeah, they actually seem...
Or they like each other. Yeah.
Again, let's face it, they keep in the family. But, like, they seemed to be totally for this together and happy to go ahead and do this. They knew that they had to fulfill their duties to their family, and they were okay with it.
Yeah, and we meet his sister, Laena. Valerian.
Who was supposed to marry her father.
Yeah, she's older now. She's very pretty. Very pretty.
I guess he should have just waited a few years.
Yeah. So she's kind of coming into the picture now, and everybody's getting older. We come to that conclusion
that they're okay with this. This is I think that they're fine overall with this decision. They're gonna do what they need to, but have their own separate lives.
And then we get to Alicent. Now I kind of feel for Alicent in some way. I feel like her father has really pushed her to.
Yeah, I get it.
To be in this role.
Grow up and move
on. and she's defending Rhaenyra, but
she's really hurt.
She's hurt, and she finds out that she really did. Well, she's. Well, Sir Kristen, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. She was alluding to Daemon and Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
She was going up, but the thing is Alicent didn't say it outright. And Sir Kristen thought that it was him.
Yeah.
She was
and he's like, I did it. Please give me a swift death.
I remember we were like, oh, you idiot. What are you doing? But
he
probably
wanted to be put out of his misery because she denied his let's run away and get married.
Right. Yeah. And it was like, and Alicent was just like.
So here's my thing with Alicent. We knew she was going to end up turning. Let's face it. We knew she has, her son that we knew she will want to be.
She's a Hightower.
Yeah. She's going to want him to be the heir. We knew that was going to eventually come. We know what her father was working and doing and stuff. But yes. This is why they should have never married. I blame her father for this whole situation because it was best friends that he is now turned against each other. Anyways, long story short, she was hoping that Rhaenyra was telling her the truth. She comes and finds out she did actually sleep with someone. But Rhaenyra kind of did tell the truth. She said it wasn't Daemon. I mean,
well, she lied. She had some lies and some truth, you know.
Like, I don't care.
She did not sleep with Daemon, but Daemon, you know, her and Daemon did do a few things. Yes.
Okay.
But it was actually Sir Kristen. So for her to hear this, and then I also read that there's kind of alluding to, I don't know what you guys think, but apparently Rhaenyra and Alicent kind of liked each other a little bit.
Oh, never knew.
I don't know. Did you guys read that or no? I don't know.
I didn't read it. No, and I didn't catch up.
So that's why
pick up on it.
Alicent seems just so like hurt by everything. Plus, she's seen Rhaenyra kind of live this life of freedom, and then you have her
she's a young
like
girl too, and she's a mother of 2.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other thing is, I think that they're growing up, their friendship, they were so close that's all she had, I think. And Alicent did say, I think it was last episode, that she doesn't have friends. She's alone, and like she's a queen, so everyone respects her, but she doesn't have a friend. And I think that she was holding on so tight for a good relationship with Rhaenyra, where, let's face it, Rhaenyra doesn't want to why would she want to tell her personal life too, especially when she knows she's not supposed to be doing it as well. Like, she has to be careful. So it's like,
well, especially in that world.
That's why I'm like, get over it, Alicent. Like, she doesn't really want to, you know, tell you that. But I think a lot of the hurt also came from, they were best friends, we know that, but also because Alicent did say she feels like she has no friends, and now her father is gone too. So I think that was just, that world of hurt just really collided. It made her more upset because she really believed and trusted her and was still thinking Rhaenyra should be heir, even though her father was trying to push her in a different direction. And I think that just like totally just crashed, burned, and now it's going, which I figured was going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
I didn't know how, but I knew it was coming.
Well, and then we have a new hand.
Yes.
Lionel, I think. Lionel Strong. So this is the Strongs.
He's the one that he originally told
he's been giving
to marry
Laena, the Valerian,
yes.
even though she was little.
And he said no, and then he came up with the marriage to Leanor with Rhaenyra.
So he's been giving him good advice, because Otto's out of here. Otto wasn't really in this episode at all.
Just the beginning.
Yeah. So, and Lionel has 2 sons. His one son is the crippled guy, and he was kind of whispering in Alicent's ear.
The town crier, the gossip. He was going around and
yes, and
you know, he can't be trusted.
His other son, who is now starting to rise up in the show, is Harwin Strong.
It was, Sarah said, was it last episode? Remember him.
That's all I said. Remember him.
And then in my mind, she sends a picture, and I thought it was Sir Kristen. I'm like, I was so confused. I'm like, who? She said, remember him?
Like no, like, yeah. Past? I was meaning like, remember him for the future.
And I was like, oh, that doesn't look like Sir Kristen anymore. And she's like, I must have made you confused.
We meet Harwin Strong. He is a part of the Gold Cloaks, Daemon's thing. You know, in the beginning where he's like
He is the one that Sarah told me that when Rhaenyra was running the streets at night with Daemon, he was the one that said like, "Hey boy," or whatever, "Where are you going?" or something.
And he, we'll get to him later on in the, you know, in this discussion. But, but yeah, so those are his 2 sons, and he is now the hand of the king. So,
or as I like to say, the king of the hand. For some reason, that's how I like to say it.
Back to Alicent, and she feels like, you know, she feels alone. Her father's gone, you know, and we get to the wedding.
Yeah, she's not showing up.
No, and everyone's like, "Where's the queen?" And they're, "Oh, she's taking her time." We start, you know, all these families are starting to walk in to the wedding. Then we get to the Lannisters walk in, and you know, they're still pompous and full of themselves.
Some things don't change.
Yeah. And then we get to the Valerians, the Leanor. They get introduced and everything, and we see that family. And then we get to good old, who shows up, who is banished yet again.
Who doesn't care?
He comes.
Doesn't care. And walks down with a smirk like, I am supposed to be here. He didn't care.
No, I loved it. Listen, every time the guy comes on screen, you can't help but smile because he's just so mischievous.
He doesn't care. I love it. He just walks straight up and goes and sits at the table.
He waits, and King Viserys has no choice but to be like, put
I
a plate
thought he
down
did.
for
I
him.
thought he just sat. He did.
No,
just
King
walked up and took
Viserys
a
had
seat.
to say like, okay, like get him a seat, and he's like, thank you.
And you see Rhaenyra kind of smile that he's there. I think she gave a hint.
Well, she's obviously, you can tell she's a little annoyed with him because the last time they were together or they spoke, obviously, was at the brothel scene.
The reason she had to go to Sir Kristen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, it's a good old Game of Thrones wedding. It wasn't as crazy as remember the red wedding?
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorites. Such a shocker.
Yes.
And it was so good in Game of Thrones.
Right.
It was first or second season. It was really early on. Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember.
We get some...
And the inside of the episode, they did say that in Game of Thrones, the fashion, when you have a wedding, it doesn't end well. There's always something. So he goes, we knew that, and we know that people know that.
Well, did you feel...
And we had to, bring something.
Did you feel like this episode was just so, you were like, what's going to happen? Something's going to happen. I felt like the music and then just the anticipation, something's going to go down.
And then the whole time I'm like, she's going to end up with Daemon. She's not going to marry Leanor. She's not going to marry Leanor. No, it's not going to happen. He's going to die. They're going to kill him.
You have so many snitches in that wedding. You have Daemon, who knows what happened, Sir Kristen, Alicent. You have Viserys that knows what happened. I think the only one that doesn't know.
That's all who matters. The king. Who cares?
I think the only ones that don't know are the Valerians. What they're marrying into. No, there's some other families, but yeah, I felt like that wedding was like, what is gonna happen?
Alicent is nowhere to be seen.
Oh, that's right.
She's late. Like someone said, where's the queen? And she's not there. But they continue on, and literally in the middle of Viserys' speech, everybody hushes, and here comes Alicent. And they said in the inside the episode that this was the first time that she looked like a queen. Walked down, because she's normally one to observe and not be one to be out there.
She's not, yeah.
And she came wearing her green, which they explained is a sign of war type thing.
To their house. But inside the episode they kind of said this meant she is what's her last name? Hightower. And that's the side. It basically was saying, this is the side I will choose. This is my, my people. And she wore the green. So we know where she's going now with this. And then she just walks in, they said inside the episode, this is the first time that she actually looked like a queen walking down. That was a really good scene.
Everyone's quiet, they all look to her.
Well, and we're watching it, and you just see Viserys kind of staring off, and it doesn't really show what's happening, and you're like, what is he looking at?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to her, and she's wearing green. Mm-hmm. And I obviously know this backstory to that. She did not. So it was good for the inside the episode to kind of explain that to those that haven't read the book. But yeah, actually they mentioned it in the show too. So, but yeah, so we get there, then we get to all the dancing, and
eyes are being stared at from
none
other than Daemon looking at Rhaenyra, and I'm like, I knew it.
But who else did he notice?
Who? Daemon?
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, I guess.
Lena. Yes, Lena. I did see that. Sorry. I just want to think a second longer. Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think Lena more noticed him, and then I think it was more she coming to him. Let's be real. It wasn't.
He's like, okay.
I think also he knows kind of he's in a sticky situation at the moment. Lena is very pretty, and she comes over, and you can tell his eyes are for Rhaenyra, but she comes over, and I think kind of.
He goes to her and he says, do you know you're just as pretty as your brother?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I kind of have a little combo with them, and then we get to...
Is it the best scene ever of the episode?
It was a really good scene.
And it was so,
I just think these actors have so much chemistry. I think that's what is pulling us in. Like, this actress that plays Rhaenyra and then Daemon, Matt Smith, and
I almost don't want to go to the new Rhaenyra, to be honest.
Well,
I love this girl, though.
I know.
I love how good she. I think she's
it's gonna
doing
be
such
hard,
a good job.
but I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes. And
yes, but he like goes to, okay, I love that they talk in their own, what's their language? Valyrian language.
High Valyrian.
All the time when they see each other. And he basically goes and he's like up to her and he's like, is this what you want? And like, this is going to make you happy type.
Oh, and she's mad at him. She's like, you can tell she's like, oh, now you care what I want. And
like, go ahead,
take goading me. Him. Yeah,
go
she's
kill,
like,
go kill him and let me back to.
Because she caught on to what he was doing. You know, she said this was your whole purpose, to marry me. Mm-hmm. And she's like, so take me. But Viserys notices.
And he's kind of watching him. Like, and you could see he's like aggressive.
He's like this. It was kind of comical. He's like watching where they're going. And then they're talking, you know, and she goads him. And she caught on to what he was trying to do.
Where's his Dragonstone? Just take me. Yeah.
She's like, come on, let's do it. And he's
like, he's getting closer.
And he's staring at her. You can tell he just doesn't know what to say.
And I think, but like, obviously, my opinion of her too is that she wants him to kind of do it at the same time, I feel. And then he does that like sexy thing where he just like grabs her face like really hard. And I was like, oh!
We were like, is he gonna? That was
I loved it. I loved every second of that.
In front of everyone, he was like,
and he like has their foreheads practically touching, and then Viserys is sitting there like watching it. And then all of a sudden the crown moves up, so you can't really see, but his white hair.
So yeah, because we're basically seeing their interaction through Viserys' eyes, you know, and these people are getting in the way, and he's like, what, you know. And oh god, that was such a good scene.
And I was like, do it.
A scream happens, and we find out that Kristen Cole, because Leanor's lover was kind of goading Kristen Cole, like, I kind of know you have a thing for her.
Why would he goad him?
I don't know, because.
Or do you think he really didn't mean it to go that way, and Sir Kristen just lost it because he's really jealous and he wanted to take his frustrations out?
Do you think he saw Daemon and Rhaenyra?
Oh, and he was mad.
Because he had his eyes on Rhaenyra the whole time.
He always takes, yeah.
And they were thinking maybe he saw Daemon and Rhaenyra, and this guy Joffrey was the closest to him, and he was just talking to him and kind of
getting on his frustrations.
Yeah. And he like full on beat.
That makes no sense to me. You know he was watching her because that's what his job is.
Right. I mean, you cannot not see it. It was in front of everybody on the dance floor. And he basically kills him.
His face is like
and you see our good old Harwin Strong beating up everybody to go rescue Rhaenyra. And it's just the start of Harwin's kind of journey, I would say. But I was like, ooh,
and the demise of Sir
Harwin. Yeah, Sir Kristen's supposed to be doing that. And now you have Harwin Strong. I know. Well, he even hit Leanor. Sir Kristen.
Why did Daemon not go through with what he was? Like, you could tell he was there and that just distraction.
What is he gonna do?
Do you think he cares? I don't think he cares. I think you never
I think he knows he lost his bid at this episode. Like, he still wants her.
Well, and so anyways, he's gone, and then we see Leanor realize that Joffrey is dead. And it is, sad for him.
Sad. He started crying like a whale.
And his parents,
not a whale, but like a whale of a cry.
A whale of a cry.
And yeah, that was heartbreaking.
And then what we see next is there's a wedding. It's no longer are we waiting a week to get married. Viserys has seen the display of Daemon
and just everything in general.
And everything going on. And he's like,
his wife walking down the aisle in green, interrupting him. Daemon and Rhaenyra, he's like, no, we're not waiting 7 days. We're going to do it tonight. Poor Leanor lost his lover, but Viserys is not doing well. He's sick, and he collapses at the end of this
during the
episode.
wedding. And it's a very melancholy wedding. I mean, you can tell that Rhaenyra feels bad for Leanor.
I know, she had
really
tears
upset.
in her
Like
eyes.
Leanor is saying his vows like through tears. You can hear it and like very sad. And you can tell Rhaenyra. It's not what Rhaenyra. She's not what she wanted to marry him, but she cares for him, and you can tell she feels for him too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They're married.
I tell you, Daemon and her are not done. And I hope I like the
You
new
still have
girl.
a lot to learn in this.
Well,
This is not even
I
half
know.
of it.
But I'm hoping to love the new girl as much as I just love.
I think we
this
will.
actress is I think she's doing such a great job.
Yeah.
I think her name's like Millie or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's it, Millie.
Elle Cooper.
Yeah, she was really good. But I can see why they have to start changing it because
Just to grow. And,
and you
and
know
she does
what
have
happens.
such a young look too.
Yes, yeah. And what happens? You kind of there's a lot that it's for an older, Rhaenyra, but yeah, it was excellent. It was such a great episode. I think these are just getting better and better. I am really enjoying it.
Yeah, I can't wait for Sunday nights, honestly. So
Yeah.
it's good. Anyways, I think that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Let us know what you
and
think.
Let us know your opinions if you know anything that we don't know. And that's it. I think like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.